and thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Okay, deputations. Now we've got Sarah Campbell from Extinction Rebellion. So Sarah, do you want to come on up? Thanks for coming in.
Kia ora. Ko Sarah Campbell, tēnei, I'm speaking on behalf of Extinction Rebellion o Te Tahi. As we cannot make good decisions without a good understanding of the facts, I'll start with a few facts about the climate and biodiversity crisis. How do I switch to the next? Perfect, thank you. The last 8 years have been the hottest years on record. 2022 was the hottest year for the ocean. The graph on the this graph shows heating from 1955 to 2022. That's ocean heating. NASA state this upward trend will continue as long as we keep emitting greenhouse gases at our current rate. What we do over the next 3 to 4 years, I believe, is going to determine the future of humanity. We are in a very, very desperate situation. Sir David King, Chief Scientific Advisor to successive UK governments. The collapse of civilization in the natural world is on the horizon. Sir David Attenborough. Greenhouse gas emissions keep growing, global temperatures keep rising, and our planet is fast approaching tipping points that will make climate chaos irreversible. We are on a highway to climate hell with our foot still on the accelerator. Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General. In Aotearoa, due to warming waters, we're already beginning to see mass die-offs of sea sponges, kelp, fish, and seabirds. New Zealand king salmon recently shut down some of its farms due to the inability of salmon to thrive in these warming waters. We have seen significant disruption in the world and at home due to the increasing and worsening weather events. This is just at 1.1 to 1.3 degrees of added warming. According to the latest IPCC report, we will reach almost 3 degrees of added warming by the end of the century, if we continue to emit at the current rate. If we increase emissions, we will see 4 to 5 degrees of added warming by the end of the century. This is within the lifetimes of children born today. The Informed Leaders Group has grown to over 77 respected independent academics, and they have told you that it is their shared view that the Taurus Airport project should not proceed. They've told you that decarbonising aviation is a wicked problem. The challenge of radically reducing aviation emissions is insurmountable without demand management, and that there is absolutely no scope for the aviation technology optimism that underpins the Taurus Airport proposal. They have also warned you that this airport would also negatively impact Christchurch tourism. Transpower recently estimated that we would need 62.5 terawatt hours of electricity to produce the amount of green hydrogen needed to decarbonise aviation by 2050. This means we would need to produce 2.5 times the electricity we currently produce. This is excluding the extra electricity we need to produce to transition away from fossil fuels in other areas. This is just one of the many obstacles surrounding the use of green hydrogen in aviation. You do not need to see a business plan to know that this project is a terrible idea. You already know enough. You know that the climate crisis you know about the climate crisis and the urgency in which we need to reduce emissions. You know we are a long way off being able to decarbonise current levels of aviation, if ever. You know aviation expansion will enable more flights and increase emissions. The longer this project is allowed to progress, the more it is costing Christchurch ratepayers. We are told that the Statement of Expectation and Statement of Intention process is one of the only opportunities Council has to provide strategic direction to CCHL and their companies, and then to accept, provide feedback on, or reject their responding intentions. We ask you to please use this opportunity. Reject CCHL's Statement of Intention, on the basis of Christchurch Airport's intention to progress the Terrace Airport project. Even if you are not a councillor who prioritises the planet, maybe you prioritise profit over planet, wouldn't you at least ask that the SOI is amended to include specific requirements to safeguard CCHL's finances? How about a fully transparent business case, including the average annual flight and passenger forecast, projected revenue and profitability forecasts for Terrace up to and beyond the time of break-even and payback on the initial development costs? The projected impact of Terrace development activities on CIAL dividend payments over the next 30 years. An update on the social licence development, including a summary of national and local public sentiment and media coverage. An analysis of the impact of flight diversions away from Christchurch to Terrace on the Christchurch tourism economy. An estimation of carbon emissions generated by Terrace Airport, including embodied construction and Scope 3 flight emissions and detailed mechanisms to offset these. In addition to CIHL's plan to expand aviation, we have other concerns about the way in which this publicly owned company operates. As we know, when Christchurch Airport purchased the land in 2020, the council was not informed of this purchase. In 2022, the council added the following statement to their enduring statement of intentions. Any transaction involving the purchase or disposal of land must be notified to the council in advance of any legal agreement or undertaking being finalised. Christchurch Airport purchased more land in Terrace on the 11th of this month. The news broke in media last night. We wonder if CIL had informed the council prior to making this purchase, and if the council knew, why didn't they stop this? Another concern is the Christchurch Airport's Terrace Community Fund. This is a $30,000 annual fund that Terrace individuals and groups can apply for. This fund is essentially Christchurch ratepayers' money being used to improve CIAL's goodwill in the Terrace community. The people of Christchurch weren't asked if we wanted our company to build a new international airport 400 kilometres away. We weren't asked if our money could be used to sweeten up a community 400 kilometres away. This is grossly undemocratic behaviour. We ask that councillors address this. We'd like to end this deputation by asking you to support the restoration of interregional rail, passenger rail. Aotearoa is the 4th worst in the world for domestic aviation emissions per capita. We are 7 times worse than the UK and 9 times worse than Germany. This is due to the fact that they have far better public transport systems than we do. It makes far more sense to be spending money on interregional rail rather than aviation expansion. Once again, please reject CCHL's statement of intention on the basis of CIAL's intention to progress Terrace Airport.
Great, thank you very much for that comprehensive update or deputation to us. That's really useful. We've probably got a couple of questions, no doubt. I just had one, and I was just going through my mind when we had the sign, which is good, saying reduce rates, dump the Terrace Airport. If we're thinking about aviation and the emissions it sort of creates, do you have a view on whether the council should own the Christchurch Airport?
I can't speak on behalf of Extinction Rebellion, but I think having control of the airport is really important going forward when we need to be reducing aviation emissions. So I think we have more control if it's not in private ownership.
Right. So on that logic, would the same apply down south? If someone is to build one, if we had control over it, that would potentially add more value?
Building an airport is a really dumb idea. Get a grip.
Well, I can either ask the question or not. It's entirely up to you guys.
Trying to build a new airport in Southland, we will be opposing that as well. Nobody should be building a new airport.
Right. Okay. Pauline.
Oh, thank you. It was a really, really good deputation. Thank you. What's your view on tourism? Have you done any work on that looking at things like optimal numbers, what are too many, impact on climate change, should we be growing numbers and what to? Have you done any work on that at all? Or do you have a view?
I think we have to work within planetary bounds. So our tourism has to work around that. And I think nobody should be expanding tourism in any country, anywhere. Especially non-sustainable tourism, which is flying, unfortunately.
So at the level that it's at now, do you think that's acceptable?
No.
So you want to reduce tourist numbers?
Absolutely, there should be a cap. Yeah, we should be reducing tourism.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Technically, now that we own the land, and I understand from what I've heard from those involved, that it's really the only area that an airport can be built down there other than the ones already existing. So if we didn't do anything with it, technically we've solved the problem, haven't we? Because nothing can expand down there. But we could add value to Christchurch Airport, because you did mention that those communities that almost rely on tourism, such as Fairley, Geraldine, those smaller communities.
I have no problem with us retaining the land.
Yep.
I have a problem with us progressing a new airport.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, oh, sorry, Sarah, we've got one more from Aaron, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you. So you don't support if that airport's developed and it lowers the carbon footprint of individual travellers in the overall market. If that is because that's one of the things that we've been shown, that if there's this many tourists coming to New Zealand each year, and the carbon footprint's this big, by having more strategic airports and the size of the aircraft and stuff reduces the footprint per passenger, but you don't support that because you don't support tourism.
No, because it's still expansion. It's allowing more expansion. If there is not, if we don't have a government cap at the moment,
Right.
then it will just lead to expansion. It would lead to more aviation, and
So low carbon expansion's not a good thing?
it doesn't exist.
So are you also then, because with IT, for instance, that the carbon footprint of computers and the IT industry is as big as aviation and is set to be a lot bigger? What are the protests there, and what are we saying about those industries?
Today, I'm focused on the airport.
All right, that's a good note to leave it on. Thank you very much for coming in. Great. Okay, so we've got a... Great, thank you very much. Now we will move through. So we've got no petitions, and